My name is Ben Edwards, and I'm an Associate Professor of Earth Sciences at Dickinson College with a research specialty on volcano ice interactions. I've been doing research in Canada, Iceland, South America, and Russia over the last 20 years on these types of eruptions when volcanoes punch through glaciers sitting on top of the volcano to try to understand what happens to the glacier and how it impacts the eruption. One of the active areas of study right now is the link between different types of Earth events. So for example, major earthquakes, and can they trigger eruptions, or can they even shut volcanoes down? And there's some evidence that the large eruption in Japan a year or two ago that caused the great tsunami actually may have affected some of the volcanoes in Japan as well. And the same has been discussed for some of the big earthquakes that happen in Chile, because it's one of the more volcanically active places on Earth. For a long eruption, and some volcanoes can produce lava flows every day for 30 or 40 years. Kilauea volcano has been actively producing lava flows basically since the mid-1980s. Usually very small amounts, usually going off into places where no one lives, although as we saw in the last year or two, sometimes those lava flows change direction and they can actually go into towns that are situated in the wrong spot. That's typically what happens in the kinds of eruptions that produce a lot of lava flows. Eruptions that produce more explosive activity, some people call the lava-dominated eruptions red eruptions, and gray eruptions are the more explosive eruptions. If this eruption turned into a more explosive eruption, it could cause more rapid melting and more damage to the ice cap at Heard Island. And when you have a lot of water involved in an area where there's an explosive eruption, you can blow the ash, the volcanic ash, into smaller pieces, which means it can travel further distances away from the volcano. And it's not likely, but if this volcano went into a larger eruption phase, it could produce a eruption cloud that could actually carry ash out into the Indian Ocean. And if the wind directions are correct or not correct, depending on your perspective, that could actually start to cause problems for air traffic that's flying in the southern latitudes of the southern hemisphere. So I don't have any reason to expect that's going to happen, but that type of thing actually does happen.